Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavlich and Jesse Martineau.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Me and Jesse podcast. My name is Mark Pavlich, and in the Grove, the big sexy Jesse Martineau, and our special guest today, everybody. And I mean special, okay? I'm talking Hall of Fame guest today, everybody. The one and only Wayne, the Violator, Mabry. Wayne, how are you today?
Doing great, guys, and thanks for having me on. I'm interested in what we're going to talk about today.
Well, I mean, I know what I want to talk about. The last 2 weeks of Raider Nation. Sorry, man. I'm a Seahawks fan, so I'm
a huge Raider fan, Wayne. I'm on your side,
dump
Wayne.
all over him. I know you're gonna dump back on me, so it's fair game right now. It's not like I'm gonna be 2-0. I'm lucky to be 1-1, but you know, obviously we're gonna get into a lot of stuff. But let's talk about the first 2 weeks of the NFL season this year. What the hell is going on?
If I knew that answer, I'd have the clipboard or the headset on myself.
Well, I mean, I guess so, but in your educated opinion, you've seen a lot of games.
50 years, Wayne. 50 years, Wayne. And like, I'm a huge Raiders fan, and I'm telling you that my expectations were through the roof this year, like through the roof. And to start off at 0-2, and it's not so bad to start off at 0-2, but what happened yesterday should have never happened. Do you believe the combination of McDaniels and Carr is a good thing long term?
Here's the way I see it from my vantage point. And like I said, I've watched this team over 40 years, and I mean in person. And you, as an ex-player, you can see body language, and of course your opponent sees that same body language. And yesterday, it started great. Running game was great. Got Jacobs off. I was saying just let him get lathered up, and then he's ready to go. Kind of like the way the Titans treat Mr. Henry.
That's a good point.
And, you know, so that was all great. Everything was clicking. Going to halftime, 20-point lead. We're thinking, wow, dude, the home opener is going to be great. Come out second half, and anybody that's familiar with flapjacks, where I come from, we were as flat as that and made no adjustments to improve on that, and thus give up 20 points. I think we scored 3 points the whole second half, looked basically lethargic.
I mean, hey, like you said it. As an outsider looking in, to me, I think that Carr panics when he senses someone coming back at him. Yes, you go up ahead. Yes, you get that. And he's fine if it's comfortable. He's fine as it's that. And yes, okay, you've had a lot of fourth quarter comebacks. Great. Most in the last 8 years. Shouldn't be in that position, one. But two, I think that when he feels the Sharks coming, he crumbles.
Well, to add to that, like I say, just from my vantage point, it's a team sport.
Yeah.
And we had enough points to really keep adding to it by running the football. Simple as that. Shorten the game. Every time that offense stepped on the field, they would have been under more duress because of time on the clock. Let the clock work for you, not work against you. And we got a phrase in sports, it's called getting too cute.
Yeah, that's a good one. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Because, you know, that is, you make the great point there. Why not run the ball? You're up by 20. Run the ball. I mean, almost every team would do that. They'd run the ball when you're up that big to kill the clock. So where's the miscommunication there? Because McDaniels, to me, is a great, I thought, hey, this is actually the guy they need in here right now. He's proven himself in other places. He's learned under the best. So where's the communication? Is it the play calling? Is it him? Why isn't there an interception of like, hey, hold on here. why aren't we running the ball?
That's the $2 billion question with all of the sophisticated communication devices that we have and just plain common sense, common football knowledge. I think sometimes we give coaches too much credit for being smart.
Interesting.
And we've dealt with situational football or their lack thereof for a couple of decades now. And it's rearing its ugly head once again. So, as the fan base wants to know, I'm just a mouthpiece. Trust me, I'm just an ambassador. But with all that's invested in this squad,
yes,
I feel I have a platform to say what needs to be said, liked or otherwise.
I'm glad you do that, Wayne, because you know what? A lot of people won't do what you do, right? Because you're being fair about it too, as well. You know, like you're not notorious, you're not a trash talker per se. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But you're speaking the facts today. And sometimes the facts hurt. And sometimes these guys got to understand, like, listen, man, like Raider Nation today is mourning, okay? Literally mourning, because we all know what happens when you start 0-2 and the percentage of making the playoffs goes to exactly 11%, okay? If that's what it is, that's the stat. So I'm not saying the Raiders are done for the season, but I am saying, listen, there's a lot of problems. And when you see, like I said, Carr is a smart guy. The problem is after 9 years, as Jesse said, he's still making these little mistakes. Like you said in the second half, like he just basically kind of said, well, that's a wrap. I'm not like they figured, oh, we got 20 points. That's enough. As you know, in the NFL, if you got your opponent in trouble, this is the only term I can use. You need to step on their neck. You know what I mean? Like that's the NFL. I mean, you ask anybody, Wayne, that's how it is. Like you think KC, if KC comes and plays now, if they're up by 10, 20, they'll try to be up by 40 on you. You know what I mean? These are teams that want to step on your neck. This is the game we're in. This is not tennis. This is the NFL.
And despite all of that jargon that's out there, Mark, about the safety of the game, the quality of the game.
Yeah.
What is happening is, as a fan, I'm just going to say, for me, the integrity of the game is being squashed. That old adage, when you got your opponent down, stomp on their neck, that goes way back when they wore leather helmets. And if you want to compete and not entertain, then you've got to be, and I want to say my favorite word, you've got to be a gladiator on that field.
Yeah.
And when it's time to show up, you show up and show out. Or you can be replaced. But I understand the whole business side of the game with the contracts, blah, blah, blah. The fans do not give a damn about that.
It's true. It's true. You know, it's funny when let's let everybody know too that you're in the Hall of Fame, right? And when my favorite Raider of all time comes knocking on your door, okay? And when he comes knocking on your door, I saw your elation. And let me explain this. I'm never starstruck, never in my life. But there's people that I admire that play the game of football, and Howie Long is at the absolute top of the food chain for me, because he is that leather helmet kind of guy. He played like the guy with the leather helmet. I don't understand why they don't even have him walking through the dressing room. Don't say a word at every game. Just how he walks through the dressing room, maybe with you on his side. And you both don't have to say one word. You know what I mean? Because they could get what intensity needs to be at. And the intensity needs to be all the way up for the entire game, not for 2 quarters, not for 2.5 quarters, as we watched yesterday. And this kid basically ran all over us in the second half, made his contract money yesterday, made his contract money because they were all, talking about that contract they signed him to. And he basically got it paid in full yesterday because he has a highlight reel of the last 2 minutes playing against the Raiders. And no one wants to, if you're a Raider fan, you don't want to see that.
And in the business side of things, guys, you always hear players say, well, I'm going to put my resume on tape. If we had to go by the tape, I'm just going to be honest, everybody would have a pink slip.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Not that it's just that disconnect, because football is a 60-minute game. barring overtime. We shouldn't have even been in that situation.
That's right.
And then the degree of the intensity that the defense were steady under trying to hold that lead. Now, here's where I come in as what's going on the defensive side. We've talked about changing the culture and the scheme's going to be different. From my vantage point, it looked like the same old Raiders. Wow. Now, yes, we were missing some key people, but in this sport, it's next man up.
It is.
Or start making reservations for vacation early.
Oh man! Well, I did say this. I did say that your first 5 weeks are going to be tough because that's not. I mean, next week you got Titans. But Titans can surprise people. But then you got Denver, which jury's still out on them, and then I think it's the Chiefs after that. So that's a tough start to the season. You could be 1-4. But then after that, it actually gets a little better, and you might still make the playoffs with that. If you run out after that, 10, 11 wins might get you in on a wild card.
Yeah, that's all good on paper, but
yeah, that's right.
Mindset is everything, and when they're not showing us that they're honoring that shield on the side of that helmet, we are pissed off and offended.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that today, Wayne. That it actually makes me feel better you saying that today, because like I said, there's a lot of people out there, and I'm as hardcore Raider fan as you can get. I praise them when they play correctly, and I don't go publicly too much and criticize them too much, because I don't think that's necessary either. But because I have a podcast that does quite well with Jesse, I do comment on it here. And when you point out the obvious, I love Max Crosby. I love Max Crosby. He plays with intensity. He plays with grit. He's probably one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, but he was for 2.5 quarters yesterday, 2.5 to 3 quarters. Max decided in the fourth quarter that, listen, man, I'm gassed like someone else, Chandler Jones, maybe, where's that big money player? Where's he now? So I don't know, man. I'm like, it's scary. It's scary to watch it. And I just don't want the jinx to happen. I call it the Belichick jinx. Because what happens is, if you notice what happened in Detroit, right, with their coach, and you look, McDaniels is with us now, and you say to yourself, Belichick is the greatest, in my opinion, greatest coach of all time. Because you learn from him doesn't make you him. You understand that, everybody? You're not him. So McDaniels has to go and prove something more than anybody else right now. And the problem is, when you start 0-2, it feels like you're in quicksand. And he trust me, he's in quicksand today when he woke up. How he gets out of that quicksand, there's no secret to it. Just ask Howie Long. Go ask Marcus Allen. Go ask all these guys how to get out of quicksand. They can tell you.
Well, you've got to play your way out of it.
That's right.
Oh, here's a caveat. Are you ready to win, or you just putting on a uniform? I'm speaking for the majority of Raider Nation. At this age, it's very little that can fool me. I'm watching
That's
it
right.
as if I'm on the payroll. That's just how much I'm into this team and this organization. We don't want anything ill will for them, and that level of fandom that they kind of take for granted at times, can turn around and bite you in your ass.
That's right.
That's right.
That makes a lot of sense.
Well, Wayne, let's go back to you said 40 plus years as a Raider fan. Like,
no, 52.
52 years,
52
but you've been
years.
going for over 40.
Yes.
Wow. So, where do you live right now, and are you going to Vegas every week?
Right now, I live in Moreno Valley, happily retired, and yes, I go to Vegas.
That's awesome. What's the new stadium like?
You were there yesterday. Am I correct?
Right there, front and center yesterday.
Right. I saw you there. I saw you front and center, and I said, "You're still killing it. You're still killing it."
What's that new stadium like? Tell us about it.
But wait a second. If they had your intensity, we would have won the game easy yesterday.
Well, here's the deal, Mark, and I've been told this over the years, over the decades, from several people that I cherish their opinion.
Sure.
The intensity that we think is there, it's not there. You tend to be called a throwback when you exude that much intensity, because most people think, oh, it's just a show. Well, you're spitting in my face telling me it's a show, even though I know it's a show. Don't tell me that. It's a freaking game. It's war to me still.
I love it.
I expect you to go out there and bust somebody's butt for 60 minutes, not 59, not 58.
That's right.
And right now with this squad, we're in trouble, but there are no more excuses to be given.
Yeah, that's right.
Winning.
How was the Violator created? Out of all the characters in Raider Nation, okay, and I know you know them all, okay, but to me personally, there's no bigger than you, okay. There's you, and then the food chain comes down. But what do you, for you, when you were creating this character of the Violator, what was going through your head? Like, did you have other ideas, or was this it? Like, just boom, Violator, I'm going with it.
All right, let me correct you on two fronts. It wasn't created. This was me from a childhood to now. I just had to walk into this character. So when I decided to show the world what I felt like on game day,
Awesome.
This is the image that I wanted you to see. So 31 years ago, that's what I vowed an oath in LA Coliseum, that every game, that's how I'm going to be there, and I'm not going to sit down.
Man,
I love
that's
it.
awesome.
I love it.
That's good.
I love it.
So what was it like that first time? Like, what did you feel like that first time you put the paint on, that you went there? Do you, like, I mean, most people would feel pretty insecure about themselves walking in there like that.
I felt nothing. I'm going to war. I'm clocking in. Like I say right now, I'm clocking in to go to war.
Oh man. So I mean, obviously when you're an iconic image in Raider Nation, but that whole section, like there's so many other pieces in that. What happened 31 years ago that caused, and then just you being there, it started to grow?
Well, how it started was a lack of intensity in my head as far as fans that represented this team. Now remember, it was in LA. So
Yes.
When I went to Oakland, I felt more at home than ever. And to me, that's Mecca. I don't care where they ever move to. Now, Vegas is probably the last stop, but we have to bring that same mentality and intensity there from the fans to make this work.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, being in Vegas, obviously, is different. How did you feel about that move?
To be honest, for the first year of the move, was totally put off by it. But, after talking to people that I kind of lean on for advice, and they just said, look, this is a business, and however it happened, and everybody knows there's a story behind it, however it happened, this is where they were meant to be. Now, I always think back to Al's mentality. He's smiling right now, except for what his Warriors are doing as far as getting out there doing their job. Just doing your job. We don't need that extra special. Don't get cute. Just go and win games.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the name of the game. So when you're in this character, is it different than how you are day to day, or when the paint goes on, I am this guy, and then when it comes off, I'm back to other Wayne?
There's a switch there, and sometimes it's on autopilot.
Yeah, that's right.
This is me, the way I feel and think all the time. When I put this on, there's no question to be asked. I'm ready.
Now, Wayne, you've done a lot of work with kids with autism and cancer. And can you talk a little bit about that on the show today? Because I know a lot of people, they don't like, you're not the kind of guy that sits there and brags about that kind of stuff, but we know you do that stuff, and we need you to talk about it today.
Glad you brought that up, Mark. Look, that's a passion another passion that I found, and it's my way of doing community service. It's just giving back, helping somebody in need. And the simplest gesture can go a long way with these kids. I've been involved with this about 5 or 6 years now. And I look forward to every function that we do with them, because just to see that glow on their face, regardless of how they're feeling physically, their spirits light up.
That's awesome.
Right. So what is there an organization to work with? Is there a fund that you're supporting? How do people find out more about that?
Mm-hmm.
My organization, it's called Raider Nation for Life Car Club.
Oh, cool. Right on. Awesome. And then you can head to your website, obviously, and learn all about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll post that up. We'll post that up today.
Awesome.
on all our stuff.
So
do you ever go to away games, Wayne? Do you go to away games too?
Not as much as before, but like I say, I'm retired. My income is fixed, so I'm really restricted in how I move around. So every move is a business move. So, I'm planning to hit Seattle, hopefully, and who knows what else comes up. But when I'm on the home turf, that's why the intensity is so extra, because I'm not just flying willy-nilly around the country.
yeah, no,
We're defending the home turf. And if I can only make 2 games a season, then damn it, it's going to be all out.
Wow.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
So was there a big tailgate party yesterday prior to going into the arena?
I'm sure there was, but in 90-degree heat, I'm not tailgating. I'm not smarter than that. And put it this way, guys. Look, the Bay Area weather and the desert weather,
different.
two
Very
different
different.
monsters. Trust me.
Yeah.
And if I got any wisdom, I know better. And all this crap that I have on, no, sir.
No. No. Mark, did you notice that there's a bobblehead of
Yes.
the Violator?
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty cool. When they made that of you, why did they make him? I mean, obviously we know why, but what was that like? What is it like to get the recognition of the Hall of Fame? All the being a fixture there. I mean, when people think of the Raiders, they think of you standing there. What does that mean to you, like in over the 30 years?
First of all, Jesse, it's a blessing to be in those positions, and I never abuse that, because what my mission has been the whole 30-some years is to change the way that people, first of all, look at Raider fans. Secondly, plant some seeds for generations, even after I'm gone,
Nice.
to walk that trail. So if they choose, but all the accolades means nothing if my team is not winning.
Man, you are a true fan. Like, I honestly, I appreciate the honesty and the reality.
Me too.
Because, I talk to a lot of sports fans, and there's one thing to love your team, but there's one thing to be delusional about your team. Because to me, that it doesn't help the team to be delusional either. You have to. The fans are there because we're paying these guys to play for us, essentially, and so we should be heard. And so I appreciate that I find sometimes radio hosts and things like that, because they're getting sponsors or getting press passes from things, they have to mind what they're saying, and not that you've been mean about it, but you're telling the truth.
And both sides know when they hear the truth.
Yeah.
So what I do is I'm walking out there on that truth factor. I'm not going to say anything to demean them, but damn it, your own parents will tell you the same thing.
That's right.
That's right.
Wayne, why did you pick 57? Because I know, was that from back in the day, 57? Because I know no Raider wears 57 right now.
My 57 is in honor of Jerry Robinson, which I consider my brother from another mother. And, doing that free agency thing, I hated free agency, and I hated to see players that I liked, especially defensive guys, move on or get shoved out to other pastures before their time, basically. And over the years talking to these guys, that's just the nature of the business.
Yes.
So you put your resume on tape. When they feel either they don't want to pay you or you've gotten too old, you just turn over like old dirt in the farm.
Yeah.
And as a fan, I swore I'll be damned if I'm going to pay right now $350 for a different jersey every season. It ain't gonna happen.
That's right.
That's
true.
true.
That's a good
That's
point
so
too.
true.
That's a good point.
Do you think the quarterback rule's gone too far now with like with sacking the quarterback, like roughing the passer. I mean, it's like literally, it's making me sick to my stomach watching it. Literally, you have to put a flag on these guys instead of tackling them because they call penalties of roughing the passer when they're just hit a little bit too hard. Which, do you have any sentiment on that?
I have a lot of sentiment on that second. I didn't grow up watching this type of exhibition, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's a game, it's a war on the field. It's a chess match. So now when you start putting skirts on the QB, and we understand that's because that's their shiny new toy. Yeah. But when you start running the integrity of the game, which I feel that's where the league is headed right now, fans like us, and I guess they want us to just get the hell out of the stadium anyway, because we holding them accountable on top of that. You can't fool us with BS. We see right through it. Mm-hmm. I smell it before it even gets to me. But when this game becomes two-hand touch, like in the Pro Bowl, seeing one in person, it was insulting as hell to me. It's just a show. You've got athletes out there that's acting like ballerinas. Come on. Then I got to find something else to do on Sunday.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you said it. Like, it's gone too far now. And the thing that really upsets me, and I think fans in general, is the inconsistency of calls. Not just that one, but PI and other things like that. Because inconsistency is frustrating because you don't have anything to. There's no truth. You don't know the absolute of anything. It is absolutely frustrating when one play a guy gets called for roughing the passer, and the next play it looks seemingly worse, and you don't see it. I don't get the way this league is going right now.
Well, to me, that's where the zebras hide behind. Oh, it's a objectional call.
Yeah.
These calls, these rules are in the freaking book. Now, I don't even want to bring up Tuck rule.
Yeah. Well, that's
I'll probably hit this right here. But the scale slides depending on how the league wants the games to go. Now, with betting being a big part of sports now, we don't even know whether it's true now than it was back in the day. But they're turning it into something that they're trying to entertain the younger crowd, but the younger crowd does not have, first of all, the attention span to even watch a game.
That's true.
Because they're on their phones the whole freaking game. They're not watching the damn game, which is insulting in itself. But on top of that, the sliding scale of who I call it on and when, that's the BS that me as a fan personally I'm sick of watching.
Yeah, it is true. Tell me the best Raider.
Hold up, and if the QB can't get hit, then damn it, take the pass off everybody and let's play rugby.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Tell me the best Raider ever.
I can't give you one.
Top three.
Well, I'd hate to do that, but on my scale, let's see. Let me go back. I'm gonna say Ken Stabler.
Me too.
I'm gonna say history-wise, I gotta put Marcus in there.
Of course. Even
though he was misused in his prime.
Yeah.
And let's see, modern day. Ooh-wee. That scale gets real shaky. Modern day, let me think. Man, I'm a defensive guy, so I'm just like, man, I'm gonna say Tim Brown.
Tim Brown, yeah, awesome. No one's gonna argue that list.
No, especially coming from you. You're the guy that knows. How many games have you been together?
I hated to do that because to me, I have the same love for all of them, even though,
of course,
a lot of them have brought different values to my life. So they stand out, but for personal reasons.
Yeah, of course.
When a guy leaves, a really good guy that you liked, let's say Khalil Mack, take out the personal.
That was a killer.
When you leave, what do you think about him after?
You had to bring that up.
I did because I'm doing it because of Russell Wilson. Because when Russell Wilson got booed in Seattle when he came back, I was booing with him because once you leave my team, you're not on my team anymore.
Well, that's the way the old school thinks. Once you take off that jersey,
you're bounced.
You're the enemy. No, not bounced. If you put on another jersey, now you're the enemy.
Yes.
And we treat you the same way.
That's right.
I like it. That's what I appreciate. It is. I mean, Seattle fans got crapped on because they booed him, but I was like, no, that's true fans. That's he's not wearing the jersey anymore.
See, Jesse, that's where the TV market tries to fluff everything.
Yeah.
They realize if you're a real fan, you can put the corporate side on mute and just listen to the radio.
Yeah.
Depending on the announcers. But sometimes I could just watch it in silence because I'm seeing what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
So
That's
true.
a good point.
So true. So true.
Well, Wayne, the Violator, we thank you so much for coming. I mean, this is new for all of us because of the position, the unique position that you have in the NFL. I'm not even going to say the Raiders, the NFL.
I agree.
Because it's a unique thing, and you've shown over decades of what being a true fan really looks like. You are the most passionate fan in the NFL, but also with the reality of your team and not willing to take less than at least the same enthusiasm that you bring.
Yeah, there you go.
And that is what I really appreciate. So it's a unique one here for our podcast, but also I think for NFL, I think every team needs to look at what you're saying today, the underline, not just about the Raiders, but the bottom line there of teams and fans and expectations and passion and the business of it, and say, hey, what is the bottom line here? We're not as intense as our fans in the stands, and they're paying to see us.
Paying to see you. Absolutely. I like the way you put that because we would play the game for free and it would probably be a better show.
Hey, man, that's why I like college ball. I really do like college ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of that reason. You know, they're playing for something still.
They're playing for that school pride, but when it comes to the pro level, it's just a job. And they could, and I've heard this from good sources, they could care whether it was a flower on the side of the helmet. How many zeros do I have behind my first numbers?
Yeah. And again, we're walking a slippery slope here for NFL if that's the same mentality that's allowed to continue. It's time that the fans start to stand up and start voicing the way that you know how. But within unison, I think, they're going to have to bend because the business is in the numbers. And if the fans aren't giving the numbers anymore,
correct,
there isn't a business.
We got to thank you too, Wayne, for coming in the Violator gear
thank
today.
You so much.
We can't express how much we appreciate that. We know the tiresome route that you come from yesterday's game, and then doing that for us today on the Me and Jesse podcast. This episode, I guarantee you, this episode will be in the tens of thousands on YouTube when it's all said and done, Jesse. Mark my words.
I agree.
I appreciate the
and deserve so for you because you actually deserve it. I will use the same intensity that you bring to every Raider game for the same reason, to make sure that everybody, and this episode will never expire. It will never expire. It will go on and on. You'll be seeing it. When did I do that? You'll see it for a long time to come.
Like saying, in this world, some things are timeless. And
yes,
every time I speak or every time I dress, what I'm representing of, you can't pay me for what's inside. So all of that starts from the heart. It's not about dollars and cents, but it can be,
Yeah.
All of us have a choice to make, and we make that choice to support our team on a weekly basis. With Raider fans, there is no off season. So we're going all year long. So to come out and have a mediocre performance, rather than speak like yesterday, I just didn't say anything because I could feel it. I could feel it.
Yeah.
When they're giving this thing away, and I'm not so much mad as I am embarrassed.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Wayne,
I started out being mad, and then I just was embarrassed. And everybody, I didn't respond to people on Twitter. I didn't respond to people on Instagram. I didn't respond to nobody. I went in my hole, and I was mad. And I said to my wife, I think I got to go back to church now because how much I was swearing at the television. And my wife's yelling at me. She said, "We just came from church. What are you doing?" And I said, I couldn't even help myself when I was watching the game. But like I said, I know we have great players. I know there's great people on that team. They just got to bring it through for 4 quarters of every game.
Well, like I say, Mark, it comes down to leadership.
Correct.
Not questioning leadership, but I'm looking at leadership because it shows. It's not nothing, I got a C on my chest. That means nothing if you don't live up to it. If it's a popularity C, then damn that, because that's not going to pick your guys up when you're in dire straits or when the chips are down. Those Raider players that I named never quit.
Yes.
100%. Well, we want to thank you again for your time. Thank you for going through that for us, because we really appreciate it. You can follow the Violator on Instagram, Mabry Wayne, and he has links to all his stuff there, and your book, and there it is right there. I was just going to say,
it's very important. Everybody, we can't express to you to get this book.
It's a great
The Walk.
photo too.
I'm telling you, look, this book is fantastic. You have to get it. We'll put a link to all the places on our Facebook page, on Twitter, Instagram. You'll see it in the coming weeks to purchase this book, The Walk. It's a must, and not Raider Nation. It's a must. I'm talking as a human being. It's a must. So get the book. It's a must, and we'll have a link to it on all our social media. You can get his book.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And, well, hey, we'll see what happens in week 3. Yes. I look forward to your reaction after the game.
Appreciate you guys having me on. I feel this is very important at this particular time. But here's one thing I want to put out there. Never come up to me after a loss and tell me we'll get them next time.
I love it.
I know. I don't get it. I don't get why people say that.
Me and Wayne were separated at birth, man. I'm telling you right now.
I'm
telling you, we were separated at birth. I don't understand this. It's like everything he said today, I thought today and yesterday. You know what I mean? So this is fantastic for me. I'm glad you did this today, Wayne. You know why? Because we couldn't have planned it any better. Like after that loss. Like after a win, me and you'd have been on here, me and you would scream, we would all be screaming and yelling, but this is something different. This is a reckoning. This was a reckoning today. And that's something that people are going to find out, that, wait a second here. The Violator came on the show the day after and gave everybody exactly what needs to be done moving forward. No clipboard.
Not needed.
Not necessary. No, it's not necessary.
Needed.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us, and you have yourself a great rest of your week. And we'll see you on Sunday.
And keep enlightening the fans, because they're getting delusional just by what we're being fed.
It's true.
Somebody has to step out and just say what needs to be said sometimes.
Correct.
100%.
Stay blessed, Wayne. We love you, man. Keep it rolling.
Appreciate it, guys.
Have a good night.
You got it. Take care.
The Violator. Crazy. I saw him yesterday. Jesse, I saw him yesterday on television in the center, in the black hole, the center, and people just around him. And it literally looks like a scene from Mad Max. Okay.
Yeah, it does look like that. You're right.
Looks like, listen, I'm not scared of much, but when I go to Raiders game, I'm not sitting in the black hole. Okay, I'm just not. I'm not, Jesse. Like, I'm a pretty tough guy, and I'm not sitting in the black hole. It's just Mad Max relived, and Wayne is in the Hall of Fame for a reason.
Twice. Two-time inductee.
You know what I'm glad he did today, though? I'm glad he didn't do what I thought he was going to do. Okay, I really thought he wasn't going to vocalize his true opinion of what's going on with the Raiders, and he did.
Yeah,
he did. So my respect level for Wayne was already here. Now it's off the pages, because he actually, I didn't expect him to do that, and he did do that.
Yeah, no, I that's what I mean. I really appreciate the sincerity and the honesty of that. I mean, we've talked about this to we're blue in the face, like Leafs fans and Oilers fans always talking about how great they are, and even when you lose 10 in a row, it's still fine. And you're like, this is stupid. This is football, so football I love. It's my number one sport, because it is way more intense in less amount of time, every game is like 10 games in hockey.
Jesse, Jesse, you're right. That's what it means in NFL football. Exactly what you said. When you go 0-1, it's literally like it's like a punch in the stomach.
Yeah, going 0-2 is losing 10 in a row.
When you go 0-2, you now go to 11% chance to make the playoffs.
Crazy.
Do you understand what I just said?
Yeah.
11% chance to make the playoffs. Now, if you're a Raider and you could go do something special and win 5 in a row, and now you're 5-2, then that whole percentage changes. If you go what you said, Jesse, which is starting to look more true than ever right now.
Hey, man.
I've said it. I said, forget Jimmy the Greek. He's a bum next to you, this guy. Jesse, you're here, okay? So what you said was, oh, Raiders will make the playoffs, but they're gonna do an end around because
it's gonna be the long way around.
They're gonna take the long way around and they're gonna have to do this. But the part that bothers me is the first game of the season they should have won. They played horrific and lost by 5.
Yep.
They should have won yesterday.
Yes,
and now
they should have.
And you know what the crazy part is, Jesse? That's the part that disturbs me about what you said.
Yes, that is different.
Because you had them winning one of these 2 games, right?
Well, no, I said potentially they lose this one. I said that the Titans one they could win.
Yeah.
The problem is I think you're right. Is if that intensity and the attitude isn't like really they should have come. I mean, we knew, like I said, the Cardinals got blown out last week, so we knew they were going to come into this game and be like, we got hammered last week.
Jesse,
we need to not do that again.
Though,
I know, and again,
they look like shit.
Yes,
they look terrible.
So whoever their person in their locker room is, said the right things because they came out and played like great. So that's the thing. Like you
did you hear what Wayne said though? What happened to the second half?
That's what I mean. Like
he said it. Why didn't you just run the football?
Well, it's football 101. Like when you're winning by that many, you run the ball. But they ran. I saw they got 14 yards on 8 runs or something. So, crazy. What's going on there? What's the disconnect here? Why do we think that we have to keep passing? I'm
telling you, man, it's the Belichick curse. Get me the guy's name. Remember the big bearded guy? He was the defensive coordinator.
Not Hawkinson. That's
I forgot his name. Then he became the Lions coach for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
He shit the bed there.
Yeah.
Now guess where he is? He's back in New England doing the exact same job. Josh McDaniels, same thing. He was a head coach for a split second in Denver, if you don't remember.
Yeah. Now
he's for the Raiders. Raiders set him up with a killer team. Like they set him up to be super successful. He started at 0-2. I'm telling you, you're not Bill Belichick. You're his offspring, which means you didn't come in at 5:00 in the morning like he did. You came in at 7 a.m. You are not Bill Belichick. So what I'm trying to tell you is, if you go check the history of these coaches that were underneath Belichick, their records in the NFL aren't that good. So McDaniels has to do something miraculous. And you know what the problem is too? He has to show a little more intensity too when he's talking. He has to show a little more disgust in his voice when Derek Carr, go check the stats on Derek Carr in the second half. Please, Jesse. Second half stats on Derek Carr and read them out loud, everybody, and you'll see what I'm talking about when I tell you he cannot be the starting quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders. He cannot be. Now it's on record that I said this out loud. Let me tell you this, what else is on record. He's a nice person. He's a practicing Christian. There's nothing wrong with him in that field.
No.
He's got a low IQ. Let me explain this to you for the 100th time. He's got a low football IQ. He probably doesn't have a low IQ when it comes to family stuff and with his wife and his kids. Sure, his IQ's fine, but he's got a very low IQ when it comes to football. You know what? And I said it to him on Twitter. He blocked me. His brother blocked me for saying he's got a low IQ. There's nothing the Carr brothers could do to me, okay, at 54 years old. Zero, nothing, right? I would put them both over my knee. Easy, okay? So let me explain this to you, and you know that, Jesse. You know that firsthand. So the part
did I go over your knee?
No, but you know my boxing ability, right? So my slick boxing ability at a very old age. So the crazy part is we're watching this, and 9 years, not one playoff win. When do you say, Jesse, okay, we made a gigantic mistake?
You can't. I don't think you can say that.
Wow.
Well, again, here's the other thing. I don't think you can say it, but I actually don't think that you should say it. Here's why. There is other quarterbacks out there that have done a similar thing. It doesn't mean necessarily that, they made a mistake on them. It's that they made a mistake for not trying something different.
Well, they just
that's
renewed
the
his
difference.
contract.
Well, that's what I mean. That now you can start talking about that, because you say, okay, is he the guy? I think the problem is you don't question it enough. They don't not questioning if he is the guy and trying to get something or someone that is. Because, I mean, really, when you look at it, he's been serviceable. They've actually been in the hunt a lot of the times. They've made the playoffs a couple times, but and for a lot of years they sucked. They were horrible. They didn't have any hope at all. But, he's done things there. The problem is, I think, is when the competition turns the heat up.
Yes.
It comes apart. And when you lose a guy like, Mac, for example, however that went down, Mac was a big part of the intensity on that team.
Correct.
And so you lose those things, and not to say the other guys might not, but in an organizational viewpoint, it seems like it's lacking. And Carr being a guy that passes the buck, that maybe plays it off as, it's another week kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm trying to think of other guys that do that, but there are guys that definitely have done that in the past, and you've always, you always can notice
Ben did that. Big Ben did that stuff.
Yeah, he did, but Ben won Super Bowls.
So he can do that. He can do whatever he wants.
So you can kind of you won Super Bowls. You kind of made it through that.
Correct.
Eli Manning did that, but again, somehow won Super Bowls. So
sure did.
It doesn't really matter because it was that. Now Carr, he has to make the playoffs this year. I don't see what I can't imagine them not trying something different if it doesn't make the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
You lose next week. My prediction of them being like 10-6 or 11-5 or whatever it was might go down to 7 losses. Because there's 17 games. So you're like,
but
okay,
10-7 doesn't maybe make
no,
the
10-7.
Now.
You got, I think it's 11. You have to have 11. You have to have 11.
I think you're right.
So you blow half your losses. They have to win next week. That's it. They have to win next week. If they lose next week, I would say that it's over. Yeah. I mean, that's what the NFL is so great, because by week 3. Like week 3, your playoffs are pretty much
then
shot.
There's some teams that get like 2-0 that shouldn't be 2-0, and you're like, oh, whoa, what happened?
Well, because that throws the monkey wrenches in, because then you're like, oh wow, now this loss is exponentially worse.
What did you think about your game yesterday, though?
My team, Seattle. Yeah. Oh, dude, horrible. Like, I mean, they didn't get an offensive point. It was a defensive touchdown. So you're like, okay, well, it's what I expected in week 1, to be honest.
Yeah,
I would have been happy. Yeah, I would have been happy if they got a touchdown in week 1. Yeah. It was. It was a miracle. It was fitting. It was great. It was at home and all that stuff. I mean, in this one,
what about Denver though? What about Denver?
Well, they didn't look awesome.
Yeah, no.
They didn't look awesome.
No.
I mean, they pulled it out at the end, but I mean, hey, it is a question mark. It's still a question mark over there. Something isn't right over in the Mile High City.
That's right. Right.
The old devil's lettuce might be wafting in through the old manager's office, because something doesn't seem right over there in Denver.
I agree. Still coaching is a little bit shaky over there, and and
I think what, I'm going to give them time, because I think you have the talent to turn it around. There's no question.
Yeah.
But and there's a new quarterback, new system, new coach, all that stuff.
Everybody's got to learn that.
You're going to need some time. So I will give them that. But, you got to start running away with some points here if it's going to be, if they're going to be what people thought they were going into the season.
Yeah.
Well,
they were picked as proverbial playoff for sure, like 100%. 100% they were.
I think it's still on the table. I don't think Super Bowl is on is a top 5 maybe, but it's not as talked about as that. I think there's still the jury's out for me. The jury's out. I mean, tonight watching Buffalo, that's where I'm really interested.
Yeah, because
they do.
Are they what people think they are? And they're starting to look like that. And it's, they really do look like that. And sometimes we joke and we say, oh, the game's already started.
Yeah, it started.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah,
about an hour ago, almost.
Yeah, 7-7.
40 minutes ago. Yeah,
7-7.
So it's so 7-7. There you go. I mean, that's pretty interesting. I mean, the game I want to watch tonight is Philly and Minnesota, because both those teams ran up some score. It's a double header. The other one starts at 6:30, so it starts in half an hour. So they'll be both on at the same time. Eagles
are 1-0 too, right? So it's crazy.
Yeah, and they put up some points. So it is going to be interesting.
The Vikings are going to be special this year, so we'll see if that's a real thing.
And I've always been big on Cousins. I think he gets crapped on too much. Like,
he's tough.
He's
tough
serviceable.
Guy.
Like he puts up numbers every year. He's always been consistent. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But
he always gets shadowed by the Green Bay Packers. But I don't know about this year. I think it's going to be a little different. So
yeah,
we'll see about
Dak
that
for a while.
Yeah.
Trey Lance breaks his leg.
Unbelievable, eh?
Yep, done for the season already. And
Jimmy G.
Jimmy G
sitting in the wayside. Jimmy G sitting in the wayside. I couldn't believe it when he went down, and I was like, hey, is Jimmy G on the roster still? I wasn't sure.
Someone else asked me. I'm like, no, I don't think he got traded. Like, I thought he went to. I heard he got moved. And I'm like, no, it fell through, so it didn't actually happen. Thankfully for the Niners.
Yeah.
I mean, bad for me. I wanted them to lose.
And he played pretty. He didn't play horrible.
Well, Jimmy G knows what to do. I think Deebo Samuel's value goes up again. Like, he loves Deebo, so I just think. I mean, Jimmy G. Trey Lance, like, I don't know, but you went big on him.
He came in when it was 3-0. Did he come in when it was 3-0? And then he goes and puts 24 points up on the board.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Jimmy it was Seattle. Seattle sucks, but
still though, Jimmy G comes off the bench, puts 24 up on the board. Where if there's anybody that should be butthurt about how he's been treated, it should be Jimmy G.
Yeah, I agree.
And he came out and he said, "Nah, I don't care. I'm gonna go put 24 on the board." I take Jimmy G right now with the Raiders. I'll carry him to Vegas because at least he knows the basic fundamentals of open football, and he's not going to check down when you have Devontae Adams on your team. Go check Devontae Adams' yardage in the whole game yesterday. Okay, it's horrific. You tell me, when you got Devontae Adams, you have Darren Waller. You have some new receivers that are fantastic. You have our boy who fumbled in overtime. Renfrew fumbled, who's not usually a fumbler, but he did, and cost the game. He cost the game. That you can call it whatever you want. He cost the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think they cost the game at the half. They
were in field goal range, and Carlson is 27 in a row, so he cost you the game.
I mean, if you want to blame it all on that one thing,
no,
I mean,
absolutely not. I blame it on Carr. I blame it on Carr.
There it is.
And
you heard it here.
Is. Yeah, and listen, when I say he has got a low IQ, I mean in football, and I stand by that to the end of time until he's no longer a Raider, and then you can all agree with me, right? Then you'll all agree with me.
Well, I agree with you already.
Yeah, so. I know, but it was funny. When I put it on Twitter, he liked it on Twitter on purpose,
which proves your point.
Which he did. He liked it because what he did was that shared it on his feed, and then literally Raider Nation went nuts. But only half of Raider Nation went nuts. Half was mad. The other half agreed. So here we are, 9th year, no playoff wins, 2 times in the playoffs, haven't been out of the first round. But you tell me, you know what I think, Jesse? No, it's not Carr's fault. You know whose fault it is? The Davis family. It's their fault. Because they allow it. Because if I acted like Derek Carr at my job, I'd get fired. So would you.
Well, we know Al probably wouldn't have put up with this.
Al would have never put up with this. When I say the Davis family, I'm not talking about the idiot with the shitty haircut. I'm talking about his father, who is the icon, okay? Al Davis is rolling in his grave right now watching this bullshit. And his son was at the Aces in Charlotte at the Aces female WNBA game because they won yesterday. Congratulations to the Aces for winning the WNBA championship. First professional sports team win in Las Vegas. And he was there, But what I'm telling you is now that that's over, he is not the guy. I wish and I'm going to say this out loud, and I'm going to probably regret this, but I wish that Dana White gets a group together of people, because Dana would never put up with this bullshit.
No,
he would never. You think he cares about hurting Derek Carr's feelings? He doesn't. He wants to win. So he had the deal done. He was involved in the Brady Gronk deal to come over to Las Vegas, and Gruden screwed that up. Didn't want to do it, and here we are today.
Well, everybody, thanks so much, Wayne, the Violator, for joining us today. That was awesome.
Fantastic.
Shows me what a real fan can look like and say, and not be afraid to say things about your team, even if you're a fan, because a real fan tells the truth.
That's right. And don't forget, everybody, Crystal Glass for all your glass needs, your clear choice for all your glass needs. Call 310 Glass or go to crystalglass.ca and check out Meatheads, everybody. Specialty meat shop and seafood.
Until next time, that's Mark Pavlich. I'm Jesse Martineau. Thanks once again, Wayne, for joining us. And, well, hey, Mark, I'm very excited what happens next week.
Listen, I'm wishing you the best for the Seattle Seahawks. I don't care if you wish me the best, but I am. And listen,
I like it when you're on tilt.
And I am on tilt. There's no question. And listen, to all you fans out there of your teams, be a fan for real. Yeah. If you're a fan, you'll know how it feels when you have trouble sleeping, like I did yesterday. Yeah. And when you woke up today, it felt like someone punched you in the stomach. That's a true fan. So if that's the way you felt, welcome to the club.
We'll see you next time on the Me and Jesse podcast. Thanks for watching the Me and Jesse podcast. Follow us at facebook.com/Me and Jesse.